Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer, and we are a middle aged couple with Regal Unlimited subscription and an unreasonable fondness for movie theater popcorn.
Not so much that we were willing to buy the Mandalorian and Grogu popcorn bucket.
I don't think it was a popcorn bucket. I think it was just a toy, a thing, a bust.
If it was a popcorn bucket, it was not immediately clear how you got the popcorn out unless you took off Mandalorian's helmet, which
Yeah,
you're not supposed to do.
which you really wouldn't do. No, it was
We're
just a
back
bust.
to that in this movie now.
Yeah.
For a while there in the show, taking off the helmet, not a big deal.
Well, maybe
Now,
tell our dear audience what movie we went to go see.
it was on the Mandalorian and Grogu. They know that. They clicked on the video.
Okay. Usually we introduce it.
Yeah, I know. We make a video for every movie we see together in 2026, and we saw this movie together in 2026. What did you think,
movie.
Jennifer? So first off, tell me, would you die for Baby Yoda?
Yes,
Would you die for Grogu?
maybe.
Yeah. So would you die for the child?
No.
Okay. So we were gigantic fans of the first season of The Mandalorian.
Well, we were late to the game with the first season of The
We were.
Mandalorian. Like, we watched it long after everybody else had fallen in love with the whole
You
thing
want to
and
tell the
Baby
story
Yoda.
about why we started watching it?
Well, so this was Christmas 2020,
Yeah.
and, Dave was, pretty well cloistered in the house. And I was still, like, occasionally going out to face the crowds of people who wanted to buy Christmas stuff. And so I went to Target, and in a very, very long line in Target, ended up going past this stack of Christmas crackers, Star Wars Christmas crackers. Dave's family has Christmas crackers for Christmas every year. We were going to be staying home for Christmas.
You like Star Wars?
And we love Star Wars, right? So I didn't read anything about the box. It just said Star Wars and it said Christmas crackers.
And every Christmas cracker came with a special Star Wars prize inside, which we were very excited about.
Yes. So Christmas Day, we opened 2 of the crackers and realized that that it's not just Star Wars, it's The Mandalorian, which we have not seen. And inside the 2 that we open are 2 pairs of Mandalorian socks.
Yes. In fact, all 6 of the crackers had socks in them.
We open all 6 of them and realize that there are 6 pairs of Mandalorian socks
bizarre.
for 2 people.
Which we wore for years.
We still have 2 of them, and I still wear them occasionally.
Occasionally. Okay, so, but then we were like, oh, I guess.
And then we were like, now we need to watch this show. Let's get Disney Plus and watch this show. And we did.
Instantly she was in love with Baby Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. Just the level of fandom for Baby Yoda in this house was crazy.
Yeah.
I loved the show because it was Star Wars, which is... I grew up as a Star Wars nerd. And Star Wars is starting to get kind of bloated and weird, and now all of a sudden there's this show that's great Star Wars stories again. Every episode, an individual story, the beginning, a middle, and an end, and they all work, and they all have stakes, and you feel things, and you get excited, and you worry what's going to happen. So, cut to many years later, and the Mandalorian show kind of went downhill. Got way too involved in the whole subplot about who was going to rule Mandalore and restoring Mandalore and the whole thing. None of which is in this movie, by the way. You do not need to know anything from the show to enjoy this movie. You might have to see the first season, but not even then. There's no connection between this movie and the show other than the characters. But we kept watching the Mandalorian show. We kept thinking, oh, it's okay. And when they announced this movie, we were like, well, maybe it's going to be a return to form. Maybe this is going to be, back to basics and back to what made The Mandalorian great. It had Sigourney Weaver in it. I'm a huge Sigourney Weaver fan. It looked like it could be good. And the trailers were okay. You looked like action sequences, right? So, Jennifer, how would you describe your feelings about The Mandalorian and Grogu?
I was not expecting a whole lot from this movie, and I did not get a whole lot from this movie. It's not I felt like from the series, it had no compelling reason to exist except like let's do another Mandalorian thing.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a plan to make a 4th season of the show, and they decided when they did the redirecting of what Star Wars and stuff would look like, particularly after the writer's strike, they just decided to make it into a movie rather than have a 4th season.
Yeah, they've canceled a ton of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense because, again, there's no compelling reason and nobody has enough creativity for all of these stories.
Yeah.
But there was no compelling reason for this movie besides there would needed to be another Mandalorian thing. And the story is very, very thin.
But convoluted. It's convoluted but dumb.
The story, I think, is actually, the fundamental plot is very simple. What makes it convoluted is people behave like, I think you described it pretty well, of like people behave stupidly in ways that actually don't make sense for the character. The Mandalorian should be suspicious of people. He's a bounty hunter and like involved in underworldy kind of stuff and knows that things are not always on the up and up. So it should be hard to fool him, or he should be suspicious that somebody might be fooling him. Nope.
Every plot element of this movie is the same, which is that somebody says, oh, go talk to this person. They are incredibly dangerous and they will betray you. There's no, getting around it. They're going to do something bad to you and you will regret it, but go talk to them because they have information we need. And the Mandalorian goes and talks to them and says, I'm here to deal in good faith and straightforwardly. Here's my money or whatever. Give me what I need. And they say, oh, absolutely, sure. And then they turn around and betray him. And so that moves the plot forward. So it is a series of betrayals that end with him having to get revenge. And it's the most simple plot in the world. It's just so dumb. It's like, why would he fall for this over and over?
Yeah. And so it's basically, I don't think we do spoilers in this video, do we? No, we don't. I mean, that gives enough. But, I feel like there's a lot of very long fight sequences. And they're mostly well done. But I just don't. I
disagree. But okay.
I don't think they're amazingly done. Yeah. But, for me, at this point, my barometer is, can I follow the fight?
Yeah.
I can follow the fight visually.
Okay.
That's well enough done, right? There are too many of them. They're too long, and they're not, they don't get crazier across the movie. You know what I mean? And a bunch of it is fighting monsters. And even though Star Wars has plenty of monsters and stuff, it just really felt like a let's go fight monsters movie, which is not what I think The Mandalorian is about. Fundamentally, the monsters are like people, or the monsters are the Empire, or the monsters are the former Imperials, or whatever, right? But there's just a lot of straight out monster fights in this movie. I think it's clear from the commercials that Rhoda the Hutt is part of this plot.
Rhoda the Hutt. Yeah. Buff Hutt.
Who I thought of throughout the movie as Swole the Hutt.
Yeah.
Because that is basically what this character looked like. Anywho, any the Hutt, for me, I find really uninteresting. Jabba the Hutt, existentially gross and disgusting in Return of the Jedi. Also fundamentally immobile because of the technology at the time. And those characters should be immobile. The CGI moving slugs just don't do it for me, at all. And the characters are just I don't need the Hutt, right? The Hutt family, the Hutt whatever, family. I just, none of that do I need. And that's a thing that The Mandalorian has gone back to, and the Boba Fett stuff has gone back to, and apparently, because I didn't watch any of the Clone Wars animated stuff, but the Clone Wars animated stuff had those had that family in it as well, and that just really doesn't do it for me. And that was very important in this movie. And so even if this movie was amazingly well done, it still wouldn't have spoke to me because those characters are just like gross and uninteresting as opposed to gross and villainous.
Yeah, one of the things that the Mandalorian show, at least the first season, had really going for it was that it was clear that it was not going to just recycle the same things over and over from Star Wars. The one exception being Mandalorian himself, who wears like the Boba Fett armor, and then
but
we find
was
out,
not Boba Fett.
but was not
right?
Boba Fett, and we found out through that first season of the show what a Mandalorian really is and where the why the armor is important, and so on. But it was all new. It was like new stuff and new monsters and new vehicles and new crazy aliens, and it was so much fun as a result. This is just recycling bits of old Star Wars movies and not doing them particularly well. There are AT-ATs in this movie on a mountain road. Why? AT-ATs never made sense.
Nope.
It doesn't make sense at all to have a thing that looks like a giant camel that you can literally just take down by fucking with its legs. Okay. So guess what they do in this movie? They have AT-ATs and they take them down by messing with their legs. It's, okay, sure. And they have huts. We saw Jabba the Hutt. Now apparently we need to know the whole dynastic succession crisis of the Hutt Empire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that's not my bag. There were points where there were fan servicey things at the very end that I was happy for. But it's more like I'm happy that these actors that I know in other contexts have these little bit parts so they can get paid again. Like I'm happy for that, right?
One thing that really bothered me about this movie was that the voice acting for the aliens and the weird little dudes was often just so weirdly cast. Like, Rada the Hutt has this weird voice. It just does not make sense for a Hutt. Like,
Rada the Hutt it is. Did you pick up?
No, who was Rada the Hutt?
Jeremy Allen White.
Right, that's right. Yes.
From The Bear.
Sure.
Swole the
Makes no
chef?
sense.
Swole the Hutt.
Fair, but just he doesn't sound like a Hutt.
Nope.
There's a little fisherman dude in the movie, and he's got I don't know, like Cajun voice or something. It felt really weird, and a lot of the character choices were just bizarre, and it felt like they were just, they had some famous person they could get for 10 days to record some voice lines, and so they did, and they didn't bother like altering the voice at all or matching a voice to the character. It didn't matter. You just have somebody famous, you can have them voice this character. So yeah, I would say, and the thing about this movie is it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It's just aggressively fine.
Yep.
And that's not enough for a Star Wars movie. It is fascinating how Star Wars is absolutely mirroring the downfall of Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you just get this bloat and you get all of this studio interference and you get all of this people want the same thing over and over. Let's give them the same thing over and over until it means nothing. Movies have no stakes. It's just amazing. Like the Mandalorian and Grogu, it's a story about fatherhood. In the show, that's not really part of this movie.
There's a little bit to it, and there are some emotive moments about it, but they are literally
but there's no
30-second moments,
and there's no forward progression.
Yes,
nothing in this movie advances the relationship between the Mandalorian and Grogu beyond what was in the show.
And it also doesn't really in any consistent way advance Grogu's development either. Right? Like there are large parts of this movie that do not have any dialogue because either there's no character in the scene that can speak, or or there's no character in the scene that can speak, right? Or there's a fight going on.
Sure.
And so,
or it's aliens talking to each other and they're going bingy, bingy, burp, burp, burp.
Sure, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about large number of scenes where no one is speaking in any language, right? And it's because they are fighting, or because they're creatures who can't speak, including Grogu, right? So, Grogu makes noises sometimes, but there's a lot of this movie that he's in where he's silent, and where he's doing things and he's silent, and he's like the only, moving character in the shot. And like, I was kind of hoping that at some point he would start to say something, or there'd be a word, or you know what I mean? Like, that might be a compelling thing for this movie, for him to say something, which he hasn't yet before. Like, that would drive me bananas if his first word, but that's of course what a kid's first word should be, is a name for the parent, but just something. Like, I'm like, well, that could be a something. Maybe that'll happen. No, that doesn't happen. Like, there's just kind of nothing compelling.
Also,
yeah.
Grogu is at different times in the movie is a completely helpless little baby who just wants to eat snacks, or a master of the Force capable of incredible superpowered feats. And there is no rhyme or reason to when he is this or that.
Yep.
And it is kind of ridiculous.
Yep.
He constantly gets himself in predicaments that could have easily solved by waving his hand and using the Force. And then at other times uses the Force for comic effect, like the comic relief. There's one very cute moment in the film I'm not going to describe, but it's him using the Force on Mando, and it's very cute.
Yeah.
But also, other things I dislike about this film, like, it's one of those films where, like, any plot complication has to be resolved in 30 seconds or less. So anytime the Mandalorian is imprisoned or in captive to somebody else, he has to get out of captivity in 30 seconds. He gets wounded at one point, he's healed within 30 seconds. It's fine. But yeah, like I was saying about the Marvel thing, it's like there are no stakes in this movie. So, like, literally the plot of the movie hinges around Mandalorian capturing fugitive Imperials. And there's one in particular that Sigourney Weaver really wants him to get. It's a really dangerous dude, and they need him because it's going to be really, really good for the Republic if they can catch this guy. He has
good information.
So, fine. How do they know about this dude? Don't worry about it. What happens when they get him? Don't worry about it. What information did he have? You don't need to know.
Well, partially, I think I realized now, looking it up afterwards, we're supposed to recognize that character if you've watched the Clone Wars stuff, which neither of us have.
Yeah.
So it was like just out of complete left field of like I'm drop this name, like I'm supposed to know this name, and I realize I am actually supposed to know this name. We didn't watch the Clone Wars animated series, and there's bits of this that are pulling from that.
It's also a really dumb name, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, aggressively fun. And in fact, I think you can absolutely watch this movie and enjoy it. I think you could enjoy it just fine on streaming. I don't think you need to see it in the theater. It's a Star Wars movie. It's big.
It's got big set pieces.
But they also just don't feel that big. Like, it feels like a cheap version of a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. And
it feels like nothing really has a lot of weight or heft to it. Like, explosions happen, but they're just kind of like sparklers going off. Like, I think back to like the speeder chase in Return of the Jedi on Endor, and just how incredibly visceral that scene is, and how incredibly well directed, and it's so fast, and it's so much danger involved, and everybody's like exploding, and the speeders are whooshing between trees, and it's so exciting. Or even in The Force Awakens, there's this great bit. There's like a dogfight on it's not Tatooine. It's the movie where Rey lives, or the planet where Rey lives at the very beginning. And the Millennium Falcon and some TIE fighters are like going in and out of this crashed Star Destroyer, wreckage, and it just gives this sense of just incredible peril and depth and movement, and nothing in this movie felt like that. There were lots of spaceships, but they just kind of like zoom around for a while, and then
they get
not.
shot, or they don't,
There's a bit at the end where they have to blow something up, and it's absolutely pointless. There's no reason to blow this thing up, and in fact, it causes a problem that they then have to solve in 30 seconds or less.
Yep.
It does not feel like a big cinematic Star Wars movie. It feels like an episode of the show.
Yeah.
But each episode, in the first season at least, every episode of that show was an hour long and told a better story than this does in 3 hours?
6 years.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long this movie
It's
was,
very
but
long.
it felt very long.
It's very long.
I will say, the only thing that, and as I said when the lights came up in the movie theater, like, this movie continues to make me feel like Ludwig Göransson is the John Williams of the modern era. He
Sure.
did the music for the Mandalorian series.
Mm-hmm. And the music for the Mandalorian series is great. I would say the music that was made for this movie specifically, like the new music, is okay.
There are some moments in the movie, and particularly some of those moments where there are no characters that speak, where the music really is interesting. And
There's like one good funky kind of piece.
Yeah.
It's like we're in a Star Wars city now. And
Yeah.
It feels like,
Yeah.
funk music from like a funky city.
Yeah, there's that, but there's another scene that I don't want to describe for spoilers that has some emotional weight to it, or could have emotional weight to it if the movie really allowed it to, where the music has that emotional weight, and it works and is sonically interesting and stuff. Like, I really did like the music up until the very last song that rolls over the credits. That's just like, I don't know where this song came from, because it doesn't fit with anything else.
The weird jazzy one that kept changing time signatures.
Yes,
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'm glad you enjoyed that. That really does sound like I was noodling around and here you go, here's a song.
Yeah.
But everything else I thought just sounded really interesting, and I appreciated that, I think, more than I normally do, because the movie was not that interesting, and because there were these long sequences where no one was speaking. So it's like the only sound is the music and like punch, so I thought that was actually really very good.
Yeah, the sound effects are kind of muted and not particularly interesting, but the music was better. All right, we're making it sound like this is an awful movie. It's not. It's the same quality as like a late era Marvel movie, right?
Yeah, but it's disappointing.
It's disappointing, but at the same time, it's still entertaining. Like, there's still enough in it. If you're a big Star Wars fan, this is still a must-see. And I think better than, the movie that they ended up not making this year. Like, I think it's probably a good choice for them to take a rest, the way Marvel did for a year.
Yep.
But yeah, it does not give me a lot of hope. I don't have any new hope for the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
Get it?
I got
you
it.
get the
Yeah.
joke? Okay. Or for the Mandalorian, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this was apparently supposed to be season 4 of the Mandalorian. They cut it down into a movie, and they had to cut out all the good parts, I guess.
Maybe, or they didn't have any. I mean,
Sure.
how many series like that have we watched and said this really should be a 3-hour movie, because that's about all they got?
Yeah. So, Mandalorian and Grogu, watch it if you're a big Star Wars fan, if you just were looking to be entertained. But who's going to go see this movie and not be a Star Wars fan? I don't know.
You got other things to watch if you're not a Star Wars fan, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.